Welcome back. Today we are chatting all about sort of my, I don't know if we want to call it a midlife crisis. Do we call it a midlife crisis, you guys? We know that I have been going through it. If you're new here, I am a mom. I am now a baker, which we're going to talk about. I am a CEO of an operations firm. I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm, right? And I had this, I had this like epiphany. I don't even know what it was, but I was like, I want to stop podcasting. And I was like, no. So that lasted all about 3 days. So here we are. You notice we probably skipped a week, and that's fine. But here we are. And so I'm really excited to kind of get into this episode because my hope is that we will be able to understand each other a little bit better. We will be able to uncover, some of the things that like I unconsciously just do without even realizing it. And my hope is that we all walk away feeling like we can be dynamic in whatever it is. And so I hope that we can kind of get to a base layer of how entrepreneurship really allows us to create a life that literally reflects all of your passions and all of your strengths, if that's what you wanted to do, right? I'm not saying like make money off of that, all the things that you do. So we're going to get into it, but I just wanted to give you all a briefing of what's coming up. You are listening to That Big CEO Energy, where we talk all things business, life, marriage, and push you to a new edge of discovering what that big CEO energy means for you. Listen, I understand that we have barriers that we carry from when we were once employees, and those have impacted us as we continue to build our businesses. I'm here to walk alongside you and give you encouragement through interviews with friends and other women in business who have broken down those barriers and paved their own way. Tune in with me as we uncover some of the unconscious things that we do that keep us from building that big CEO energy we've always dreamed about. Let's dive in. I don't even know where to start this episode, really. So I'm just going to get into it. As we all know, and as I have talked about before, I left corporate, right? This was sort of in the wake of 2020, really like the top of 2021. Kal+Co really took off. And so we have been doing the thing, right? For almost 4 years, which is incredible to even think about it. And so for those of you that are new, I'm just going to walk us back through kind of what led up to this change. So the branch that I was managing, so I had been in HR in the recruiting space. And so the branch that I was managing shut down. And I lost my job. And that was when I really started to think about Kal+Co. And that was when I started to really put pen to paper about what I could offer, what skills that I had that were transferable, and how I could make money. And so I just started putting feelers out there. It was a little bit of a side hustle. Make a move. And so then I got scared, as probably most of us do. I got scared because I thought, entrepreneurship is not for me. It's not. It's got to be for somebody else, right? Because they have figured it out and they can do the thing, but that's not for me. So I started to look for another job. And I did. I got another job. It was in insurance. It was in something that was completely not my wheelhouse. And so When I made the shift, I had to get like an insurance license, like all the things. And I was like, oh, this is really good. Like, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to be an insurance agent. I think you all know me well enough now that my personality and corporate insurance don't mix at all. But what didn't mix was when COVID hit and I still was forced to go into the office because I was the quote unquote new person, right? Even though I was literally running circles around everyone. So when I went into the office that day, it literally did not sit well. And during that time, we all know Clubhouse. Clubhouse was rip roaring, and I came home and I said to my husband, I think I need to quit my job. Like, this is a real thing that is transpiring. It is a real thing that is happening, right? And it was really, really scary, but I had so much momentum keeping me focused and keeping me excited about the thing that I was doing, whatever that was. I don't even think that I could put words into what I was doing. So the momentum was keeping me going. And when I decided that I was going to go all in my business, now mind you, when we say the words, we decided that we were going to go all in. Y'all, this means that I just last year got rid of all my corporate clothes. I have like one pair of pants, like I have dresses and things, that you could wear, but like corporate clothes. I just got rid of those last year. I have like a few things to go to a funeral if I need to go, or like a wedding if I need to like whip up a dress. I have stuff and things like that. But everyday corporate clothes, I just got rid of last year. So when I say that I decided to go all in, there were still some things literally and physically lurking in my closet. So I don't want us to be like, oh, well, she went all in and now look at it. It's taken off and it's great. And There's a lot of mental fortitude that comes with this. Not to be taken lightly. But when I decided to pivot and when I decided to leave this world of corporate forever, I was taking everything that I have learned in my however many years that I was an adult and working and pour that into a business of an operations management firm. And I can tell you right now that it has been really over the last year where I'm like, yes, I am capable of doing XYZ. No, I'm not going to do XYZ. So again, the evolution, right, of how Kal+Co has come to be wasn't overnight, but it was really born out of a desire to take control of my career because I had found myself in positions where I was investing all in and I was showing up to do my very best work. But circumstances happened, right? Branches closed down, businesses shut down, and whatever that is. And those are things that aren't really in your control. The one thing that I will always carry with me is I have gained so many skills out of the professional world. And I now know what I can and will do at my very best. And so Kal+Co really was born out of this desire to take full control over my life, full control over my money, full control over my time. I was so sick and tired of being told what to do day in and day out. I heard this thing one time and it said, entrepreneurs are really unemployable people. And at first I was like, what in the world are you talking about? Like, we're employable. I'm employable. Like, I could go and get a job tomorrow, right? But the reality of that and how I chose to interpret it was that it's not that we're unemployable people. It's that we kind of don't take shit. And we kind of just We want to do our own thing. And whether you have like a personality that doesn't like rules, not saying that there isn't rules in my business, but that doesn't like super corporate structure, or you are an artist and you have that side of your personality, that doesn't make you unemployable by any stretch of the imagination. What it makes you is, I guess, unemployable in the sense that your personality does not resonate with how standard operating procedures of XYZ company or that particular field operates. And that's okay. That is okay. I think one of the challenges that I had was I had to put myself in a box. I had to fit myself into this corporate world because that's what I was taught. I was taught that you go to school, you get a degree, you go and you work Monday through Friday, you collect your pension, and that is what it is. But I would say that the challenge then for me was not that I couldn't fit into that mold, because I think everybody at some capacity, whether you're burning out or you hate your life, you can fit into a mold. Like you can. But the triumph of leaving the security of a corporate job to start my own business was really what I desired. So I say all of that to preface you that I started Kal+Co with the need for change, and I started it with my desire to not fit into a box that I knew I didn't want to be fit into. And I had all the tools and all the skills from my career to do what I know best. And so last month, I don't even know if it's been a month. What is time these days, you guys? I decided to start a cottage bakery. Yep. You're probably rolling your eyes and you probably are like, oh, what the what? Yes. I started Little Martha's Bakery, and I'll tell you a little bit about it, but I'll also kind of tell you like why we now are a baker. We are a baker, you guys. So Little Martha's, my grandmother, I call her Oma. So I'm going to refer to her as Oma because that is what everybody in the world would refer to her. Her name is not Carla, y'all. Her name is not Grandma. Her name is Oma. And I introduce her as, this is my Oma. This is my grandma. Whatever. She's German. It's all the things. So my Oma is a hell of a baker. She's a hell of a cook. Like, this woman has raised me pretty much right next to my mother. If I was not found at home, I was found at my Papa and Oma's. That is just how it went. Part of the reason for that is because they had horses. They had a horse farm. And so I had horses growing up. I've ridden since I was 2. And so my Oma was always cooking and baking and all of the things. And so she was a smoker. She is not now, praise God. She was a smoker. And so because she was a smoker, she couldn't really tell if something tastes good or not. So what better than to get your granddaughter, which she lovingly and let me just share, back in the day, like Martha Stewart, which she is causing a revival. Like, let's just chat about that for a second. Like, we love a good Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg moment. Let's be honest about it. If you don't, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But Martha Stewart is the OG of cooking shows. Martha Stewart is the OG of cookbooks, like right next to Betty Crocker, right? So Martha Stewart, in her heyday, was also when my Oma and I were in the kitchen. So we had all the Martha Stewart recipes. We've done it all. So anyway, she would ask me to taste test things because, again, she couldn't, taste buds. Smoker taste buds are, unless you have an immaculate palate and a desire for food, if you are a smoker, you have a slightly different variation of taste than someone that is not. That is just reality. That is the way that it goes. I'm not going to say anything more about it. So she would say to me, "Oh, little Martha, come over here and let's have a taste test." Almost like that. So, and I'm giggling because like I can just picture in my mind. And also back then, hunter green was a thing. So we had hunter green countertops. We had oak cabinets, and my Oma had an island that had like, I don't know, 5 or 6 burners in it. And so that was like that was the place to be. I would hang out on the other side of the bar. She would cook and bake, and she had a double oven and all the things. So I'm giggling because like it instantly flashes me back to like baking with her in this kitchen. So I have always had a passion for baking. Now, the other side of my life, my other grandparents, my grandma, which she lovingly now, the great grandkids have called her Gigi. My Gigi also is a baker. So she would make breads and cookies. Y'all, she used to make the best sour cream cutout cookies. They're in the Betty Crocker cookbook. Like I should reference whatever page that is. Like you will never make another sugar cookie a day in your life. Anyways, see, I get so excited about talking about food. I can't even stand it. So she also used to bake. She used to make homemade pancakes, like all the things. So I, in my life, have had passionate people about baking. And when I would be called little Martha, it was like, oh my gosh, like I get to be the first one that tastes this food. And so we would have honest discussions. Doesn't need a little more this and doesn't need a little more that and boo, 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 boo. So I had to get really good on taste testing. I say this because I hate cooking. I hate it. I hate cooking food. I hate cooking dinner. I hate cooking lunch. I hate cooking. But if there is something to bake, I will bake it. So I started on this sourdough journey. I don't even know. And it's been a minute that I have wrestled with the sourdough. And I tried back in, I don't know, maybe almost a year ago now, I tried creating my own sourdough starter. So it's water, flour, like we're not getting into all of that. You know what it is. If you don't know, you can Google, and the Google machine will tell you all the things. So I started my own starter, and it was like epic fail after epic fail after epic fail after epic fail. And y'all, flour is not cheap at all. So as we are on the Google machines, we are scrolling through TikTok, we are scrolling through Instagram, and someone popped up that they are selling their dehydrated starter. And I was like, do I? Of course, I've spent $12 on worse things in my life. So I paid $12 for it. And when I tell you that little starter has changed my life, here we are. But when I decided to launch the sourdough business, it was sort of like how Kal+Co arrived. It was a random day where I was supposed to be taking a nap, actually. And Chris, you know, he's like 2.5 seconds and he can just be napping. I don't know what it is with men, but they just shut off their brain and go to sleep. Not me, not women, but not me. So I was scrolling and I'm like, oh, I don't know what the Michigan cottage laws are. I have friends also that are beautiful and wonderful bakers. And so I love this. And I'm scrolling and I'm like, oh, well, it's not that bad to get started. And so I go through and I am, researching who has a cottage bakery and like, what do they do? How do they set it up? Like, how do you promote all the things? And then the next week on a random Wednesday, ta-da, I launched Little Martha's Bakery. Yep, that's how exciting it got. Next thing I know, I'm creating labels. I did not create them. My beautiful daughter created them. And I will link our Little Martha's Instagram handle and Facebook page in the show notes, but I just felt like it was time for a few reasons. One is we are a family of 3 now. Okay. So when I bake, who is it going to? Y'all. Okay. When I bake, it is not just for like 1 or 2 people. It is for an army. And so I had to find an outlet that I could get in the spirit of baking, but also be able to like get rid of it. But the joy and the fulfillment of doing something that honestly brings me joy and connects me back with someone and my family that I love so, so much is amazing. It has been the most amazing experience. But here's the thing. We can make money in all different avenues. We don't have to niche down. And so when we push up against the traditional advice that says that you must focus on one thing, people don't like that. There will be people all the time that is like, oh my God, you started another business? Yep, I did. And it's okay. Because I think we have to adapt, improvise, and overcome, but also be willing to learn more things about ourselves. Now, someone might look at this, just honest moment. Someone might look at this and go, well, you're deflecting. And you're deflecting because your kids started college. They have, like you're becoming empty nesters, and like one might say that, and one might actually think that it's true. However, what I would say is I get to exercise both parts of my brain. And this is really what I want you to focus on is if you have a desire to do something creative and people are in your ear going, this is really good, you should sell this. And you have a desire to do that. You can and should take that creative part of you and be able to make money. On the other side of the coin is if you are like me and you are very much left brain. And so Kal+Co is a very left brain business, right? I make money from that because I have gained skills throughout my career that will sustain me in that. Same is true with the bakery. I have gained skills and I have gained knowledge that will sustain me through that. And so I think sometimes we get tripped up on, yes, I can start a business and yes, I can make it fruitful, but will it be sustainable? And then we start talking ourselves into, well, what if da, 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 da. And so I'm choosing to live my life, instead of saying, what if, it's even if. Even if it doesn't work out, I had a ton of fun. Even if I have to pivot and do something else and leave this behind, I had fun. But there's freedom and there is empowerment that comes with being able to make money in various ways, whether it's a structured business like Kal+Co or a more personal passion project like Little Martha's. You can have freedom and you can have empowerment with doing multiple things. And so this kind of leads me to this podcast, right? Like I have had doubts about what this podcast is and what it means to people and what I'm saying out loud from my brain. And I had a moment of, well, nobody's really listening. I mean, I don't have great numbers, right? Like, let's just be honest about it. I'm not the Amy Porterfields. I'm not the Jenna Kutchers. I'm not insert whoever else that has a podcast here. I don't have big numbers. But I do know that the people that listen, which is all of you currently listening right now, you have decided that we're friends. It's just kind of like the girlfriends kind of podcast, right? Where like, I felt like I had nothing more to say, and how I kind of felt like it was almost a dead end. But I think the fresh perspective or the inspiration that I had with developing Little Marthas and figuring out how to do something really super organic, right? Because Clubhouse is just kind of pittering. Like, this is a whole different dynamic because it's local. Like, I have clients on the Kal+Co side that are all over the world. Literally. I have a client in the Netherlands. Like, I have people all over the world. And so I can market to the masses, and that side of my business is fruitful, right? But when you're doing a bakery and it's a cottage bakery and you have laws and things that you need to abide by, it's very much local. And so it has been a little bit of a different approach on how do I market this? How do I put it out in the world? And I'll just share with you, like, I'm having so much fun in having that fresh perspective and inspiration. And it has helped me find new energy and new purpose in sort of continuing these podcasts, because I want to share what I'm learning. I want to do this in real time. And I also want to share that it's okay to evolve and it's okay to pivot in whatever you're passionate about without having to give up other things that matter to you. You know, I thought, oh man, am I going to be able to do the bakery and the podcast and my business and, right? Like, and go to workout class and And I can, like, I can. And I can also be present for the people that I love, as long as they're willing to let me be creative and let me do the things that bring me joy. And so I think my encouragement here is just a reminder that you don't have to give up one thing to pursue the other. You don't have to always be in this niche mode. Like, can we just get rid of the word? Honestly? But I want to reinforce the idea that you can create a multifaceted life that honors all of your interests and all of your skills. Like, you can. And so I invite you to just sort of embrace what that looks like in your own journey. Are you a serial entrepreneur? Do you want to carve out other passions, right? And I think the focus is you can pursue whatever lights you up in that moment. You can pursue other things without feeling pressured to fit into a box. Thank you. Thank you for giving me a platform to share all this with you. And thank you for listening. And thank you for being open and willing to discover this about yourself. I think that the more that we can understand who we are internally, and if you're a mom that has kids at home, right? I know that I am on a totally different level. And I know that, you know, I have kids that are older now, and that's okay. But I also want to have a reminder to you that you can find what it is that brings you joy. And if you feel like you want to try it out in the world, try it. I feel like often sometimes we get so worried about, does this have to be a permanent thing? And if it's not a permanent thing, then I shouldn't even do it. And I challenge you to say that even if it's not a permanent thing, will you find joy in it? Will you find ultimate joy in being able to just pursue something and see what happens? Just see what happens. Because in this moment, we only have that. We aren't guaranteed tomorrow. We are not even guaranteed the next breath that we breathe. And so I think in this season of my life, I've challenged myself to just try it. Just try it. Like, what is the actual worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is that I've spent my life wishing and wondering if what I was doing was what I was supposed to be doing, and wondering if I had tried that thing, would it have been fruitful? And I don't want to live like that. And I hope that you don't either. So just try it. Just give it a try. Thanks for tuning into the show today. If you heard something that helped you, I would love it if you would leave a review and share it with your friends. This helps more people just like you become inspired to move the needle of their big CEO energy into a positive direction. If you would like to learn more about how I can help you streamline and position your business for growth or lead your business as a CEO, feel free to jump into the show notes with all of the links to find me. And don't forget to head over to Instagram so we can be pals.